money. It has no intrinsic value, yet it shapes our lives. It drives our ambitions, feeds our fears, and fuels entire civilizations. This strange illusion, built on trust and power, lies at the heart of everything we strive for, yet few truly understand it. It is at the core of our societies, our desires, and our struggles. Where did it come from? How did it come to hold such power over our lives? And why is it that something so seemingly simple is, in fact, so complex, so elusive, and so deeply intertwined with the way we live? In this video, we'll explore the fascinating story of money, starting with the debunked myth of barter and ending in the digital age of cryptocurrency. We'll demystify how money functions, explore what makes it valuable, and reveal why, despite being an invention, it's something we can't live without. So, stay with me as we unravel the paradox that is money. Before we can understand what money is, we need to untangle its origins. The common story of bartering livestock for grain sounds simple, but history tells a much richer, more complicated tale. In fact, the idea of barter is largely a myth, a story often repeated in economic textbooks, but debunked by decades of anthropological research.
Look around the world, as far back as we go, you just do not find any economies anywhere based on barter. Money actually pre-exists markets. Money was not invented as a transactions cost minimizing device for markets that already existed. Money is as old as writing. Writing was not invented by poets. It was invented by accountants.
There's no evidence that any society ever operated purely on barter. The reason is simple. Barter is inefficient. Imagine you're a farmer with surplus grain, and you need a new pair of shoes. You'd have to find a shoemaker who not only needs grain, but also values it enough to trade for shoes. If that shoemaker doesn't need grain or prefers something else, you're out of luck. This double coincidence of wants, both parties needing exactly what the other has, makes barter impractical on a large scale. Instead, early economies were built around systems of trust and mutual obligation, where people exchange goods and services based on social relationships rather than one-to-one trades. Over time, this trust evolved into systems of credit, laying the groundwork for what we now recognize as money. Money began not as a physical object, but as a promise, an abstract concept designed to facilitate trade. In early human societies, various items served as money. We often think of precious metals like gold and silver, but in ancient times, it was more likely that people used commodities that were abundant and valuable to their specific community. For instance, in some regions, seashells were used as currency. Beautiful and durable, these shells were easily traded, and their rarity in certain areas made them highly prized. Similarly, salt was once worth its weight in gold, literally. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt, so much so that the word salary comes from the Latin word for salt, salarium. But these were not just random choices. These commodities had qualities that made them suitable for exchange. They were durable, portable, and often had intrinsic value. Salt preserved food, seashells were aesthetically pleasing, and both were scarce enough to hold value, but not so rare that they couldn't be found. It wasn't until much later, around 3,500 years ago, that we saw the first recorded use of metals as money, primarily gold and silver. These metals were shiny, durable, and could be shaped into coins. But most importantly, they were valued across cultures. Gold became particularly desirable due to its rarity and beauty. For millennia, currencies were tied to physical commodities, usually precious metals like gold. But this changed dramatically during the 20th century. Gold, once the backbone of economies, gradually lost its grip on the monetary system. But why did this happen? To answer that, we need to understand why gold was valuable in the first place. Gold doesn't have any intrinsic utility in the same way that, say, food or medicine does. It's not a tool, nor does it provide nourishment. Its value arises primarily because it's scarce and difficult to obtain. Cultures throughout history saw its value, and thus it became a natural medium of exchange. But by the 20th century, the world had grown far too complex for gold to maintain its central role in the global economy. As economies expanded, the need for more liquidity grew. Nations required more money than they could possibly have in gold reserves. The The break came in 1971 when President Richard Nixon took the US off the gold standard, effectively severing the link between the dollar and gold.
Conley to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
This marked the birth of fiat currency, money that has value, not because it's tied to a commodity, but because the government says it does. The term fiat comes from Latin, meaning let it be done. In essence, fiat money is money by decree. Without a commodity backing it, fiat money is only as valuable as the trust people place in it. It is this trust, in the government, in institutions, in the financial system, that gives our money value. If the trust erodes, so too does the value of the money. We saw this happen during hyperinflations in places like Weimar Germany and Zimbabwe, where paper money became practically worthless. So how does money work today? Most people think money comes from the government, but in fact, most of the money in circulation today is created through debt. When a government or corporation issues a bond, they are essentially borrowing money from the future. Bonds represent promises to pay back borrowed funds with interest, and they function as a mechanism for creating money. When the government issues a bond, it's essentially borrowing from the people, promising to pay them back with interest. In doing so, the government injects more money into the economy, which in turn fuels spending and investment. But this creates a complex system where the creation of money is inextricably tied to debt.
For me, I owe the bank $2.5 million, and there's $2.5 million in your account. You just sold me your house. You've got the money, I've got the house, the bank has a mortgage. Nobody has gone anywhere near the Federal Reserve. The money was created, that deposit was created as a matter of accounting out of thin air. The system's in balance. You have $2.5 million in your savings. My savings is negative. I have a loan. I owe $2.5 million. Your savings went up. Mine went down.
The idea that debt is money is a fundamental concept of modern economies. When banks issue loans, they're not just lending out existing money, they're creating new money. This is because, in a sense, the loan itself is money. The debt is the asset the bank holds, and it can be exchanged in the economy, just like any other form of money. We've created a system where money exists not as something tangible, but as an abstract construct built on trust and debt. Money is, in many ways, a lie, a social contract that we all agree to uphold. It's not backed by gold, nor is it tied to any material object. It only has value because we believe it does. Yet, this lie is not something we can live without. Money, despite being an abstract idea, is the glue that holds our complex societies together. It allows us to exchange goods and services, create wealth, and plan for the future. But paradoxically, the very fact that it is a construct gives it power. By agreeing to this lie, we create the structure necessary for our economies to function. This is why money, though a construct, is absolutely necessary for society. Without it, we would be left with a fragmented and inefficient system of trade, and our ability to organize labor, invest, and grow would be severely limited. In a sense, money is a social invention designed to overcome the inefficiencies of barter and, importantly, to harness the collective energy of society. Does money control us, or do we control it? In the end, money is both a tool and a master. It empowers us to buy goods, start businesses, fund dreams, but it can also enslave us, driving us to work longer hours, chase fleeting desires, and sacrifice our well-being in pursuit of more. It's the fuel that drives economies, but also the chains that bind us in debt and inequality. Philosophers and economists alike have long debated the role of money in our lives. Some view it as a symbol of power and freedom, while others argue it can distort values and create division. Historian Yuval Noah Harari notes that money, more than any other invention, enables large-scale cooperation by fostering trust in a shared system. Yet, it also reflects power and perpetuates inequality. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin offer a glimpse into a world where money might be decentralized, where trust doesn't need to come from a government, but from a collective, algorithmic system. Perhaps this will be the future of money, where we can break free from the chains of traditional fiat currency and begin anew. But the question remains, though money may bring inequality and excess, is freedom from it truly possible or even desirable? Perhaps money, despite its flaws, is not merely a burden, but a vital force, one that fuels progress, empowers dreams, and binds the complex web of human civilization together. As we reflect on all of this, we return to that core question: what gives money its value? The answer is simple and complex. As always, trust. Money today is backed by the belief that others will accept it, just as it was backed in the past by precious metals or seashells. But no matter its form, money remains a tool, one we need for better or worse to navigate our world. It's a necessary lie in a world of complex relationships and exchanges, a story we all tell ourselves to make sense of the world. If you made it this far, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you enjoyed, as I plan on making more videos on similar topics, and let me know your thoughts on money in the comments.